Greetings, boils and ghouls. Welcome to another midnight feast of frights on SL Tonight. I'm your host, Felix Lubezki, calling up from the dankest crypts of Second Life to serve you a tale so twisted it'll make your skin crawl. Tonight we got a real gusher, greedy con artist drilling into a cemetery for black gold, only to strike a curse older than the pyramids. So dim the lights, lock your virtual doors, and let's dive into the dirt. Listen on, if you dare, to oil's well that ends well. Flashy convertible came to a stop at a point on the highway overlooking the sprawling Midwestern town. The two men looked down at the rooftops and smiled. "Well, Phil," said the man who was driving, "there she is, waiting for us, like a sitting duck waiting to be plucked." The other man took a deep drag on his cigarette and squinted down at the town below. "There's the park, down there in the center of the town, and there's the cemetery over there." The driver turned to the man with a cigarette between his lips. "Phil, how many times have I told you not to talk with that butt hanging out of your mouth? It doesn't look good." "Huh? Oh, I'm sorry, Sam. I forgot." He took the cigarette out of his mouth, knocking ashes all over his lap. "Well, don't you forget." Sam was annoyed. "After all, you're supposed to be an honest businessman. You look like a Sharpie when you do that." Okay, don't get excited, Sam. I'll be careful." Phil put the cigarette out in the ashtray, just to show what a careful guy he was. The car continued down the highway and then into town. It pulled up in front of the only hotel. "All right, on your toes, Phil. Here we go. I'll start getting the suitcases out. You check in." "Right, Sam." Sam started to unload the luggage from the flashy convertible while Phil entered the hotel across the lobby to the desk. The hotel had been a good one, perhaps 50 years ago. Flowered carpeting was a little threadbare now, and heavy velvet carpets were just a bit tattered at the bottom. "Howdy, stranger," said the balding, bow-tied desk clerk. "What can I do for you?" Phil tapped the ashes from his cigarette into the man's inkwell. "I'd like 2 rooms, one for myself and one for the field man." "Field man?" inquired the desk clerk. "What's that?" "Allow me to introduce myself," said Phil with a certain modesty. "My name is Philip Garson. Oil's my business. I locate oil deposits for big oil companies. My field man, Mr. Simpson, handles the general surveying of prospective sites. We're just passing through." "Oil, eh?" said the desk clerk, scratching his chin. He pushed the hotel register towards Phil. "Sign here." Phil signed the register in a sweeping hand, sprinkling ashes all over the leather-bound book. "Think I'll look around these parts?" asked the desk clerk casually. "Thank you. No," said Phil. "We're on our way north." Sam came into the lobby, loaded down with the suitcases. "Where should I put the luggage, Mr. Garson?" he asked. The desk clerk pointed towards the wide, curving stairway. "Rooms 201 and 202. Up them stairs and to the right." "You heard the gentleman, Simpson," said Phil, blowing a thin stream of smoke out his nose. "Yes, sir," said Sam. He shot Phil a nasty look over his shoulder as he climbed the stairs. The man behind the desk watched as Sam carried the luggage up the stairs, and Phil followed. Then he bent towards the man who had been sitting on the lobby settee reading the newspaper. "Psst! Hey, Jess, did you hear that? The dapper-looking guy's an oil man." Jess, who spent most of his free time, which was all his time, sitting in the hotel lobby, put down his paper. He hadn't really been reading it anyhow. He must be rich. Take a gander at the car parked outside. The two of them peered out the glass doors at the fancy red car. Meanwhile, upstairs, out of earshot, Sam was whispering angrily to Phil. "What's the big idea tying that clerk with that cigarette dangling from your mouth? What are you trying to do, queer the deal?" "Huh?" "Oh, the cigarette." He took it out of his mouth and ground it out in the bathroom sink. I forgot, Sam. I'm sorry. I'll give you such a hit." Later as night came on, a group of people from town gathered in the hotel lobby, as they often did. Phil was there too, chatting in a neighborly way. He'd been talking about the oil business. $100,000, Mr. Garrison," said Jess, disbelieving to Phil. "That's a lot of money." "That's what the Bay Shore Oil Company paid," said Phil cheerfully, waving his cigarette for emphasis. "My commission was 10%. And that's all you do? Locate oil deposits? And when the big oil companies buy, you collect a commission from the owner of the land?" "Right." "Shucks," said another man. "Seems to me you'd be better off doing the drilling yourself." "A lot better off. You're right, but drilling equipment costs a great deal, sir." He paused to brush the smoldering ash off his pants before it burned a hole. "It costs more money than I've got. I'd have to borrow." "Mr. Garson! Mr. Garson!" It was Sam, bursting through the front door. "That's his field man, Simpson," explained the desk clerk to those assembled. Mr. Garson, cried Sam, pulling Phil to one side. I got to speak to you. Privately. That's all right, Simpson. Out with it. You're all excited. What's up? People in the lobby watched Sam with great interest. Oil, Mr. Garson. I'm sure of it. The room erupted. Oil? Where? Where is it? Phil took Sam by the sleeve. Better come upstairs, Simpson. Sam followed Phil up the stairs. Behind him, the hotel lobby buzzed with excitement. They found oil right here in town. Anyone see where that Simpson feller came from? Asked Jess. Upstairs in their room, the two men smiled. Phil opened the door a crack and peered out. He could just see the lobby. There's a crowd gathering, Sam. Did you take care of it? Nobody was around, replied Sam smugly. I took care of it all right. She'll ooze for a week. Now go ahead downstairs and start the pitch. But douse that cigarette first, will you please? Huh? Oh, right. He put the cigarette out in a coffee cup. 5 minutes later, Phil came downstairs. The lobby of the hotel was jammed with townsfolk. Word travels fast in a place like this. Phil stopped halfway down the staircase and surveyed the crowd. I'd like to see the mayor, he said. I'm the mayor, said a man towards the rear. Jordan's my name. Mayor Jordan, said Phil, putting a friendly arm around the man. I've been advised by my field man there is oil on the town property, under the city park. The park? Gasped the mayor. Hey, there's oil under the park. The town is rich. Shall we go on over, Mayor Jordan? Asked Phil, smiling. Let's go, Mr. Garrison. In short order, the crowd stood around the black slick that sleep from the ground in the park. Everyone was trying to get a feel of the wonderful, gooey, smelly stuff. There are two things you can do, Mr. Jordan, Phil advised him. You can turn the land over to a private oil company or drill for it yourselves. But we don't know anything about drilling for oil, exclaimed the mayor. Phil rubbed his chin and blew out a big puff of smoke. The mayor coughed. Well, I can handle it for you, mused Phil, but it would cost a great deal, about $160,000. $160,000? But we couldn't afford. Say, Mayor, interrupted someone in the crowd, why couldn't you let us folk in town put up the money, form a corporation and issue stock? Mayor Jordan turned to the crowd. What do you say, folks? Do we turn the land over to a private company or raise the money and drill for the oil ourselves? Ourselves, hollered several voices. Yeah, let's keep it in the family, someone added. Phil stayed with the excited crowd for a while longer and then went back to the hotel room where Sam was waiting. They fell for it, Sam, he said when the door was safely closed. They're going to form a corporation and issue stock. And guess who they put in charge of drilling? Me! He laughed so hard he almost cried. Where's my matches? He said, patting down his pockets. I don't know. You shouldn't smoke so much. Okay, now, as soon as they turn the money over to us, we'll pull the routine. In the following days, the corporation was formed. Stock was issued, and subscriptions from the hard-working townsfolk poured in. They lined up outside Mayor Jordan's office to get their part of the oil well that was going to make them all rich. Here's $1,000, Mayor Jordan, said Mr. Fagin. That's all we could scrape up. That's fine, Mr. Fagin, said the mayor as he wrote a receipt. Here's your 10 shares. Finally, everything was ready. Phil sat across from the mayor at a table in the hotel lobby, and the mayor pushed an envelope toward him. Well, Mr. Garson, said the mayor, the stock issue's been sold, every last share. Here's your check for 160,000. Oops, don't let that burning ash fall on it. Huh? Oh, sorry. Anyway, this is very good. Now we can start the drilling. In half an hour, Phil sat in the hotel room watching Sam play solitaire on his suitcase. Sam cheated. Phil knew it. Here's the dough, Sam, said Phil. I just cashed the check. Why don't we just skip town and forget the cemetery routine this time? No, we want to work this deal again. You got to be kept in the clear. The cemetery routine stays. Sam put down the last king and picks up the card. I'd just make sure you don't forget to come and dig me up. I'll hide the dough. Now give me one of those pills and fill in the mirror. You know what to say. Here you are, said Phil, handed Sam a small bottle of black pills and reached for the phone. So long, said Sam. He opened the door and then paused. Don't forget, dig me up within 6 hours after they bury me. We'll pick up the dough on the way out of town. And for crying out loud, Phil, would you ditch that cigarette? Huh? Oh, I forgot. So long, Sam. Sam closed the door behind him. Mayor Jordan rushed to Philip Garson's hotel room and answered to Phil's frantic phone call. What do you mean the oil deposit's phony? He demanded. It's true, said Phil miserably. When I found Simpson, my field man, gone, and the drilling money, too, I checked. He poured oil in that sandy spot in the park. There's no oil there. We've been taken, conned. We'll get him, said a grim Mayor Jordan. He won't get far. Just outside of town, they did indeed find the flashy convertible, its front end rammed into a tree. Soon a crowd had gathered to look. He's dead, said one of the town's two policemen. Heart attack, probably. Did you find the money? Someone asked the mayor. Nope, not a dollar, said the mayor. Phil Garson was taken to the police station and questioned carefully. He broke down in tears. I trusted him. He'd been with me almost a year. I can't believe it. First lying about the oil, then stealing the money. Now this. Dead. I'm so sorry for all the folks that trusted me. He buried his face in his hands. Wasn't your fault, said the patrolman. Do you have any idea what he might have done with the money, Mr. Garson? Phil looked up in shock and amazement. Didn't he have it with him? No. We searched carefully. His clothes, the car. Probably hid it somewhere to plan to come back and get it. Now it's lost. For good. A little later, after Phil had managed to overcome his grief a bit, he showed up at the town morgue. I'd like to claim the body, he said. Give him a decent burial. Of course, Mr. Garson, said the man. I'll give you a release. And soon that afternoon, Sam Simpson was buried. Only the mayor, the gravedigger, and the undertaker and Phil were present to mourn the passing of the miserable crook. Naturally, Phil had made sure that Sam's body was not embalmed. And several hours later, when the effects of the pills Sam had taken wore off, he wore up 6 feet under the earth. He wasn't scared. He was used to it. This time, though, something was different. Hey, what's that? Something sticky, oozing in the coffin. Muddy water. Smells funny. The warm, thick liquid continued to seep into the coffin as the hours dragged by. Sam was almost overcome by the stench of it. Phil will be here soon, he said aloud to comfort himself. He'll dig me out. Whew, that smell. The awful ooze puddled higher and higher in the coffin. It rose above Sam's ears. Now he was starting to get scared. Phil! Phil, for Pete's sake, hurry, before I drown in here. What was that smell? Sam was pressing his face against the satin lid of the coffin, sucking at the last traces of air when the digging sounds from above. It's Phil! Thank the Lord! Hurry, Phil! Boy, will I be glad to see your stupid face with that dangling cigarette. And now I know that stuff smells like, oh, Lord! And as Phil lifted the lid of the coffin, Sam screamed at him, his black, shiny face rising from the surface of the ooze-filled coffin. His eyes looked very white against the black as they flashed insanely at Phil. It's oil, Phil! Huh? Said Phil. The cigarette dangling from Phil's mouth dropped into the thick black oil as his jaw fell open in astonishment. Suddenly there was an enormous, blinding white flash. Vroom! Yeah. Yep, Phil forgot again, and this time Sam really blew up. Of course, so did Phil. In fact, he really went to pieces over his bad habit. But look at the bright side. Town's got its oil boom after all. Well, gotta go. We'll be seeing you. Next story. Ta-ta.